I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street.
This episode is sponsored by Pair Analytics. They are geniuses at SEO, which is search engine optimization. If you have a business or a website, then you know what this is. And if you don't, what that means is that they go behind the scenes and they put in all the magic words and numbers and pull levers and strings and stuff to make your business come to the top of the list whenever somebody searches it. I don't know if you know this, but 61% of all money spent on Google AdWords does not result in a single conversation. Use Pair Analytics and this will not happen. They can help you solve this problem. They can help you show up to the top of the page when somebody searches for your industry or even your name. You can find them on our Support the Website page, and you can just click on the actual logo and it'll take you right to their website, or you can go to pairanalytics.com. That's PEARANALYTICS.com. Tell them you heard about it here on Fascination Street. Thanks.
Hey guys, this episode is part 2 of my father-in-law, Billy Smith. In this episode, we talk about telling bosses to go fly a kite and teaching people how to drive a truck and competing in the semi-truck rodeo. We have a lot of fun on this one. Thank you guys for listening. Here it is.
Yeah, talk to me,
There's a lot of history that my generation don't know, and blaming them's generation will never know.
And they won't care.
No, I mean, but that's not their fault. But I mean, it's
Right,
just,
they'll never know. I can't believe Sean was on the post. Big old white one with a target painted on it.
got the red X on it.
That's insane.
I'll tell you one thing: if it hadn't been for the women, we wouldn't have won that war.
Hispanic women and black women were all part of it too.
They were, yeah. Everybody. I mean, you know, it's a come together thing, and then when it's all over, everybody
Goes back to being racist?
Goes back to being what they are. Yeah. Seeing that dog picture over there reminded me.
Caesar over there?
Yeah. Whenever I got orders to go to Vietnam, there wasn't anybody to take my dog, so that meant that he had to be shipped back to Lackland. Anyhow, after that, then I used some of my V8 school stuff. I went to the Votech College. I took an electrical course. I didn't like that. And
What didn't you like about it? Was it too boring or?
I just didn't. It just wasn't.
Just didn't interest you?
It just didn't. It just didn't click.
Gotcha.
So then after I got out of that, I decided to take a truck driving course out there.
At the same Votech school?
At the same Votech, because they would place you instead of you going out looking for a job. They could get you placements. So I took it, and
you had already driven trucks before.
Oh yeah,
You just didn't
I
have
drove all over Vietnam and
You
everything.
just didn't have a CDL.
Yeah, back then you didn't have to have CDLs.
Yeah, because you had already been driving a dump truck, so you didn't need it for that.
No. And the guy that was the instructor out there was a friend. We became real good friends, and he knew my history and everything. So he used me as an assistant truck driving instructor without pay, since I was getting paid by the VA. So it just helped him out, made his class go better. After I got out of that course, then a little bit later on, the federal government started courses and different things so they started what they call a light truck driving course at the same Votech that he was at. And he was doing heavy trucks, and I got the job of doing light trucks.
You were teaching people how to drive light trucks?
Yeah.
What's a light truck?
Anything less than a 5-ton.
So like dump trucks?
Yeah, dump trucks.
Okay.
Little delivery trucks you see around town and stuff. So I did that till the government shut it down. Then I went to work for Ryan Foods, which is
Really?
meat hauling company.
That's where Donnie works, right? Or works?
That's where Donnie worked.
But you didn't know him back then, right?
I didn't know him. I was in the trucking division. I went in as a driver trainer. They had their own training course. Didn't make no difference what you knew about truck driving. If you went to work for Brian Foods, you had to go through a training program. They had a training program for every driver. So I was their trainer. I'd ride with the guys 2 or 3 weeks, show them the ropes, how we do things, and what have you, and watch them and see how they did with customer service and everything. And I would either say, okay, he's ready, or he ain't gonna make it. And that was when while I was doing that, was when I went to, started doing the Mississippi State Rodeo, truck driving rodeos. Brian would send 4 or 5 drivers to it every year. And they set me down as a doubles, pulling doubles. That was when I won the state championship.
You won the state championship of the truck driving rodeo, pulling a double trailer?
Yeah, for Mississippi.
And so that's basically like an obstacle course, right?
Yeah.
Did you get like a belt buckle or something? What'd you get?
I got a buckle.
You still have it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Then I went to...
was there a cash prize involved as well?
I don't remember. They gave us something. I don't remember what it was. But I mean, it just wasn't a great big deal. But anyhow, so that gave me the right to go to the National Truck Driving Finals, which was held in St. Louis, Missouri. Brian paid for, they rented all of us drivers, they rented us a car. We could take our family with us. And they got the motel rooms and all the entertainment and everything, and the rodeo, do the rodeo. So, but I didn't place high enough in it. I didn't do too good in it. There was a bunch. I mean, it was all over the United States having, I don't know, hundreds of contestants. I don't even know what place I came in, to tell you the truth. I don't remember. That was a good time. Brian Foods was good to me. That was...
Did you work for them for a long time?
Yeah, about 6 years.
That is a pretty long time.
Yeah, it was for truck driving. That's when I bought stock in the company and everything.
In Brian Foods?
Yeah. I came out with, I can't remember. Oh, yeah, I know why I quit. My mother got sick with cancer. We didn't have no family except, my brother-in-law and sister.
So you just have the one sibling, right?
Yeah.
Just Norlene, and that's it, just the two of y'all?
So I was having to take off a lot of time. My mother was getting down close to death. So I finally went in and told my supervisor, I said, look, my mama's getting close to death. I got to be with her. She's got to have help. I've got to do some family stuff. I'd like to have a leave of absence. He said, okay, that's no problem. He said, how long do you think it's going to take? I said, well, I don't know. I mean, when the Lord takes her, I said, it ain't going to be nothing like no year or nothing like that.
Right. Cancer's not up to me.
That's right. They said, okay, there's no problem, go ahead. So I went, and it went for about 2 weeks. About the 3rd week, the supervisor calls me, and he said, we got to see if we can't get you back to work. So we got to do something. I don't know what we're going to do, but we got to get you back to work or replace you, one or the other. I said, well, I tell you what, give me a few hours and I'll solve your problem for you. He said, all right. I said, I'll be over there in 2 or 3 hours. Brian was in West Point. We was in Columbus, about 30 miles. I sat down and wrote out a letter of resignation. Drove over there and laid it down on his desk. He said, what is that? I said, I just solved your problem for you. That's my resignation. Oh no, we can work out something here now. That's it. There it is. I left. Hey, I ain't no stranger to quitting jobs. I quit one on heartbeat.
It sounds like.
Yeah, shit. I ain't scared of quitting a job.
I guess not. Hey, boss man, what time is it? I don't know. All right, I quit. You don't want to tell me what time it is? I'll quit.
Yeah.
So when did you own a Western wear store? When did that happen? Billy's Western Wear, right? Is that what it's called?
B&L Tack was the name of it.
It wasn't Billy's Western Wear?
No.
It was B&L Tack, as in Billy and Leslie?
B&L Tack and Feed.
Y'all sold feed?
Yeah. I sold everything to do with horses or stock, cattle and stuff. I did that while she was going to college, I think.
To be a nurse?
Yeah, to be a nurse. That was after the kids was gone.
Was Andy already moved out?
Andy was at home.
Yeah.
I was kind of the quote-unquote babysitter, you know, because Leslie was going to school. And we also, at that time, my shop was back behind the house.
B&L Tag?
Yeah. I had a building, pretty good-sized building, back behind the house. I don't remember if Mama Jo had moved in there or not at that time. We put her trailer back behind our house. We moved her in a trailer back behind our house, bought her a trailer, because it was getting where Pat and them couldn't take care of her and with their business and everything, so we was the poor folks, so we could do it. So we moved her a trailer in, so she was right in her backyard, and she was handy there with Andy too. She was our built-in backup babysitter, look after Andy if I'm going or doing something, you know. And she did a lot of it, because I worked horse shows and rodeos and stuff with a tack trailer. I had a trailer that had a lot of supplies on it. I worked horse shows and stuff with.
So you would sell reins and leads?
All type of grooming supplies, saddles. There again, most anything that I had in the store, I'd have on the truck. Wouldn't have any feed on it.
Gotcha.
I'd go to Jackson, work the state horse shows, and 20, 30, 40 mile round area. So I did that for, I guess, about 5 years. Then that was when I went to work for Cooper Lighting, I think.
That's where you were working when I met you.
Yo, man.
So when I met you, you were working for Cooper Lighting.
Okay. But before that, see, I drove trucks for Johnson Tom Bigby Manufacturing Company. I worked with them for about 5 years, hauling furniture. And then when I left them, I think I went to Airline Manufacturing. They made furniture parts that put together, like couches and stuff that had wood in them.
Yeah.
They made the wood parts that was put together with dowels and stuff. And we hauled those parts all over the Northeast and around, up into Iowa, Illinois, wherever there was furniture manufacturers, over in the Carolinas. And we had big trucks with big motors on them, fast trucks. And
like those PT boats.
Yeah. And my boss was a real asshole. I mean, nobody liked him. I mean, he was the owner of the factory. He just assholes, all you could call him. But he calls me in his office one day and he said, "You know what?" "No, what's that?" He said, "I got behind you the other day on Airline Road at the traffic light, and by the time you got down to where you was going to turn off, you done changed gears 9 times. I said, "That is a damn lie." "What did you say?" I said, "That is a damn lie. You can't talk to me that way." "I can talk to you any way I want to." I said, "That's a lie. If you said that I changed gears 9 times from the time I left the traffic light till I got to the turnoff, which wasn't but about 400 or 500 yards, I said, that's a damn lie. I'm driving a 13-speed transmission, and I start off in 4th gear when I'm empty." I said, "There ain't enough room in there to do that." I said, "If I'd have changed gears 9 times, I'd been running about 95. He said, "Well, you driving my damn trucks too fast." I said, "Well, I can eliminate that problem." I said, "You don't have to worry about me driving your trucks too fast."
So you fixed his problem too?
And he said, "I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 2 weeks' notice to find you another job." I said, "Okay, that sounds good." So I left there and I drove down to...
So he gave you 2 weeks' notice?
Yeah. He said, "I'm going to give you 2 weeks to find you another job." I said, "Okay." That may have been the most tender side of him, because he knew it. I had Andy Bill handicap, and he knew, you know, and I was running ragged. I ain't lying to you. I was turning some miles. When I left his office, I went down to Johnson Truck Leasing. I walked in, spoke to Mr. Johnson, asked to see him. I went back in his office. I said, Mr. Johnson, you got anything I can do? Short runs, part-time runs, anything need for me to do? He said, oh, man. He said, have I ever? One of my hands just got his leg broke last week, and he said he's going to be out for a couple of months. He said, I need somebody to fill that truck. And he said, if you'll fill that truck for me, he said, you'll have a truck when he comes back to work. I'll see to it. I said, well, I'll do it. And he said, when can you start? I said, tomorrow, if you need me. He said, well, start getting your stuff ready. I said, all right. So I went back, got in my old truck, drove back down to Airline, asked to see, can't even think of my damn old
Boss man.
I can't even think of his name now. I asked to see him. The secretary said, ooh, said, I heard you hollering in there a while ago when y'all was talking. Said, what are y'all? I said, what's going on? I said, we got it straightened out now. I said, ain't nothing to it. She said, okay.
He had a problem that he needed me to fix for him.
His name was Ralph Williamson. She said, Mr. Williamson? Yeah, Billy Smith's out here to see you again. Well, tell him to come in here. I went walking in there. He said, what do you want? I said, I just come to tell you, I don't need that 2 weeks notice anymore. I said, I got a job starting tomorrow, so I'll see you. I'm going to empty my truck out. I walked out. I went out to the truck shop where my truck was. We had 3 mechanics back there they worked on the trucks and everything else. One of the mechanics, one of Ralph's sons, was married to one of the mechanic's sisters. I went back there and he said, man, when you left a while ago, he said, I told him what I was wanting. I was going to clean my truck out. He said, man, when you left a while ago, Mr. Ralph come out here, and he said he ain't never had nobody talk to him like you talk to him. I said, well, he can kiss my ass, too. So anyhow, I cleaned my truck out, went to work with Mr. Johnson. I worked with him till he died, and another guy took it over, and I still worked for him. But he had 3 different companies that he provided trucks for. So I worked for 2 of those companies that he drove, different times. A few years here and a few years there. And then after he died, they started up another company that they called Twin Rivers, which was a freight company. And I drove for them. They also furnished trucks for Cooper Lighting. So I didn't actually quit them. I just transferred over to Cooper Lighting, which was my next best job I ever had. I really made good money with them.
Oh, did
Best
you?
money I ever made.
I know you were there for kind of a long time, right?
Yeah.
10, 15 years, something like that?
I think they quit us. I think they were going to wind up using a big lease company or something. I don't know. But anyhow, when I quit them, or they quit me, whatever, us, it was all the drivers there. I went to driving for Ben Keith.
Restaurant supply?
No, it's a different one. Heath, not Keith. I'm sorry, Heath.
Gotcha.
Heath. His name was Ben Heath. He bought me a big old pretty truck. But anyhow, I drove for him. I was driving for him. He was one of the last ones that I was driving for. In fact, he was the last one I drove for before I came out here.
Before you moved to Texas. Whatever happened to the golf course?
Well, my daddy was trying to sell that golf course before he died, and my mother was bucking up against him, which I don't blame her.
So he wanted to sell it just because it was too much of a hassle, or what?
Yeah, well,
She was not wanting to sell it because it was so valuable?
He was in bad health, and she wasn't active in it, not through her fault, but, I mean, he just didn't want her active in it. So
Gotcha.
he was trying to sell it, and at the time he was trying to sell it for $100,000.
Yeah. Now, we're talking 60s or the 70s?
Talking in, I think it would have been the 70s.
Okay.
And
was it 18 holes?
No, it was not. At that time, it was 9 holes. It was 9 holes with a clubhouse. Anyhow, she was bucking him on selling it, and he died without selling it. So they worked out a deal to where the members that were, the way we started that golf course, we had 25 lifetime memberships.
Gotcha.
So it was 25 people that bought lifetime memberships for $200-300. I don't know. It wasn't. That don't sound like much now, but it was a lot back then, because you got to stop and realize that the land that we put that golf course on was like $125 an acre.
Okay.
So I mean, that's, you can see the
Gotcha. Right.
and plus me and my daddy owned equipment. I also in all that conglomeration back there that I can't get the times and everything straight.
Yeah.
I was in the bulldozer, and I had a bulldozer, a contract bulldozer that I built roads and dug ponds, lakes, and stuff like that for people. So I had my bulldozer, and my daddy had his bulldozer. So we bought, between the two of us, I helped him build that course, because me and my daddy and two more guys, one of them was a hired helper, which was raised on our place, which was where the golf course was. We were farming. We bought it originally, we were farming.
Okay.
We built the golf course from start to finish ourselves. Didn't use any outside.
Just the four of you.
Yeah. The only outside help we had was the Columbus Air Force Base was about 4 miles from our house. They had a golf course, and he was a, if I remember correctly, he was a PGA golf professional course designer.
Okay.
But at the Air Force Base, he was the Air Force Base's golf pro. He managed everything to do with it.
Gotcha.
Well, he and my daddy became good friends. So he designed our golf course, and on his way to and from work every day, he had to come right past our house. So he would come by, tell us what we needed to do. He laid the course out and everything, just at no cost.
Wow.
So, I mean, so after my daddy died, the 25 members, which some of them had passed away, I don't know how many was left, but 20 of the 25 members, they got together and formed a little group, and they wanted to lease on a lease purchase of the golf course.
Okay.
And it was
like a rent to own kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the price was set somewhere close to $1 million.
Somewhere close to what?
$1 million.
He was trying to sell it for $100,000?
Yeah. And then but this was several years before he died.
Sure.
She was fighting him on it. But anyhow, it was somewhere close. I don't know the exact amount.
Right.
I just know. But I know that the payment was $2,000 a month was their rental. That's what they was renting it for. Rental purchase. They had to do all the insurance, everything, and they had everything they had to do. Any improvements or anything, they could make them, but we had to prove it. So when my mother died, by the time my mother
$2,000 a month?
$2,000. So when my mother died, they was still doing that. So then it got to where Norleen was getting $1,000 a month, and I was getting $1,000. Split the rent. Each getting $1,000 a month. After those initial members did their deal and everything, then they had a reorganization or whatever, but it was still members. And those 25 were still, their membership was still honored as lifetime membership. So after my mother had died, I don't know, a couple of years later anyhow. So the president of the golf club comes to Norleen and I and wants to know if they can pay the balance, pay it off so that they could take it over. I said, well, hell yeah, suits the hell out of me. And anyhow, by the time it was all said and done, Norleen and I, each one got $100,000. So then it converted to them. And as far as I know, there is 2 of the original members that's still alive. I don't know how many more it is. I see 2 of them every time I go to Mississippi. they're still active, although the golf course now is just about sunk. Because, you know, golf courses are closing all over the country for whatever reason. I mean, the only golf courses that are really doing good are your great big majors. I mean, you know, like San Antonio and things. Of course, San Antonio's got such a big population, they can handle successful golf courses.
Well, they're also
A few.
they used to be run by the city, and now they're run by a company that's all they do is run them.
Right, and they are also. I mean, they're so pricey. The reason my daddy built that golf course to start with was because he took an interest in golf late in life.
And it was too damned expensive to go somewhere and play golf all the time.
No, it wasn't that. It was just that there was only one golf club in Columbus, and it was a Columbus Country Club. And only the elite there. I mean, they didn't allow any outside play.
So he wanted a public course.
You either had to be a member, yeah. He wanted a combination private public, so to speak. You had to be a member of it, but you could come and play as long as play was available, pay a green fee and play. That's when we had it.
Did y'all have golf carts and everything?
Yep. And
Golf cars.
yep. So what it amounted to was he was trying to build a golf course. We had a county Lake Lowndes, which was a county for all five districts in Mississippi. We had a county park, Lake Lowndes, and my daddy started out. He was supervisor at that time, and he started out building it as a public course. And I mean, they almost had it completed when election time came up, and he got beat on that very factor right there because he was trying to build a public golf course. And
Why would that sink him?
it wasn't enough people at that time, working people, that could afford it or was interested in it. If he could have completed it, it would have boomed. So after he got beat, that's when we went and built our golf course on our property and did very well with it. Our course was completely made up of working class people. Oh, we had a few doctors and dentists played, not that many, but they were mostly people that were just down to earth people. I mean, you know, it didn't place much stock in the elite. So anyhow, that's kind of how it worked. So after we got rid of the golf course and everything, that's when I started my. Of course, I was doing my thing all during the time we had the golf course, you know, until my mother died.
Still don't remember the name of that monkey?
No, I don't. I have no idea. In fact, to be perfectly honest with you, until you had brought it up, I had forgot. I remembered the monkey, the truck driving monkey, more than I remember.
You remembered the made-up monkey
The
more than
made-up
you
monkey.
remembered the real one?
The made-up monkey that I didn't have a name for either. I don't know. I just can't even begin to remember.
Well, that was a few years ago.
Oh yeah, many moons. But it was good times.
Any regrets?
I guess probably the biggest regret that I've got, two regrets. Number one is that I didn't stay in the Army and retire, or didn't stay in the police and retire. Because I would have retired, either one of them, I would have retired at 40 years age. So I would be retired now at 30 years, drawing retirement instead of drawing Social Security.
Or you don't get both?
No.
They don't. So that.
Oh yeah, I could get both.
I mean, I'm sure they were taking Social Security out of your check back then, right?
Well, you know, I don't think the way the state retirement works, I don't know, but most everybody that worked for the state would also get another job on their 20 years. See, it was all on 20-year retirements.
Right.
And just like my friend Wayne Beard, he got a 20-year retirement from the state as a game warden. Then when he after he retired, he continued to work for the county as a road officer, checking trash dumps and getting giving people tickets for dumping illegal trash and such as that. But he wound up with a 40-something years retirement. He just retired.
So he retired from two different jobs?
Yeah.
So he gets two different pensions or whatever?
Yes, yeah.
But if you would have stayed in the Army, you would have had to stay in Vietnam, right?
Yeah, at that time. at the time I got out. Yeah, that was what. But I wasn't smart enough to know that even after I got home, I could have went back and re-enlisted until I got 30. I think it was 30. I think the line was 30 years old or something. But I mean, you know, I could have re-enlisted.
Well, but by then you had a family.
By then I had a family, and it just couldn't, you know.
They would have transferred you.
It wouldn't have worked out, but I don't. Other than doing like that, I don't have any regrets. It's been a hell of a good ride, all in all.
Tell me about Cheyenne days.
Cheyenne.
I don't know anything about it. What is it?
They call that the daddy of them all. It's the biggest rodeo in the States.
So it's the biggest rodeo in America.
In America, yeah.
And it's in Cheyenne, Wyoming?
Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they call it Frontier Days.
Frontier Days.
Okay.
I thought it was Cheyenne Days. I apologize.
No, that's just. But we call it, the rodeo is just referred to as Cheyenne. But they when they have the rodeo, they call it Cheyenne Frontier Day. It's just a big old deal. They have parades and everything. Cheyenne is not that big a town. It's not very big at all. But I remember...
It's been going on for a long time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of surprising that the town hasn't just exploded. Like,
well,
nobody stays. Everybody's just like, all right, cool.
You know, it kind of ain't nothing out there to explode. I mean, it ain't, you know, there's nothing there to do anything. I mean, it's just cow country, ranching country, and that's about all it is out there. And they don't have any great claim to fame other than Cheyenne Frontier Days. But I remember the governor made a speech.
Of the governor of Wyoming?
Wyoming, when we went to, I don't know which one it was we went to, but it was one of them we went to where the governor had an address for everybody. And he said, boys and girls, I want to tell you right now, this town is wide open to you. We don't want to have no rookuses or nothing. Drink what you want, just don't start no trouble, and there won't be no trouble. And it was pretty much that way. I mean, it was wide open, but they had police on horseback riding around, and the only thing that they do is if somebody was so drunk they couldn't walk or whatever, or, you know, you see people pass out. They pass out on the sidewalk or something. They check. Of course, this was back before all the bullshit of you got to do this and you got to do that. But they get off them horses or whatever. They check them. If they was breathing and everything, they just figured they was just drunk. They prop them up on the sidewalk, or just get them out of the way. Just keep on riding. There just wasn't nothing ever went on there. You just didn't have no big deals, you know, and stuff. But anyhow, at that time, whatever year it was, and I can't remember it, but that rodeo brought into that little town, just that one rodeo, brought $20 million into that town.
Every year. And they do it every year, right?
Every year.
Wow.
And I don't know how big or how small it's got since then.
How long has it been since you went?
I've been one time since I've been out here, about 6 years ago, I think.
How many times have you been? A lot?
We did it for 12 or 14 years. We went every year.
Who's we?
Me and Wayne Beard, Danny King, and the fourth person would be different most years.
So did y'all take horses with you?
No.
Y'all just got in a pickup truck and drove up?
We had a van converted over where we could sleep in it.
Because I got to imagine that's a heck of a drive.
We'd be gone for a week, and we'd do 5,000 miles.
So I would imagine with all four of you, y'all would just take turns driving and sleeping?
Yep.
And then you'd get there, you spend 2-3 days. Is it like over a weekend or something? Or
no, it's like most rodeos. It lasts I don't know, a week or so. But what we would do is we would go there. We never did order tickets. They always try to get everybody to order tickets in advance. We never did do it. We'd always drive there and go to the gate. Always was able to get a ticket. Always had a good seat. I don't know, $20 or $25 a ticket. I mean, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than this San Antonio rodeo.
Yeah, I bet.
You know,
that shit's expensive.
And they had the free pancake breakfast and all that. They had something, parades and everything. They had something going on all the time. We'd stay there 2 days.
Would y'all stay in the van?
And then we'd leave there and we'd go to Mount Rushmore.
Really?
Yeah. And then we'd go up
Where's that? Is that in one of the Dakotas?
in the Dakotas, yeah. Then we'd leave there and go up into the Black Hills.
And that's also in the Dakotas?
Yeah. All up in there, and then come back all across Nebraska and Missouri and all that stuff, and back down to Mississippi. Stopping and eating and looking and doing all the time.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.